Using Anki flashcards, which is active recall and the linear method, is what helps me the most. I'll put a screenshot up here somewhere because I wrote down all my study techniques. So I'm finally doing it. This has been my most requested video. All over my medical blog on Instagram, my #1 question, especially on TikTok, is how do I study in nursing school? If you don't know me, hi, my name is Jaden. I'm sorry for the echo and if you could hear the ventilation in the back. I'm a first-year nursing student for my bachelor's science degree in nursing with a minor in biology and on a pre-med track. The most important thing for nursing school is the way that you study. So first and foremost, what I use and what I recommend for everybody to use is an iPad. iPads are literally everything. I know you guys have been seeing the TikToks, you're probably like, oh, you don't need it, it's like whatever, you'll just do handwritten notes. Handwritten notes is also important too, but for me, iPad, I use digital studies. So what I do is I use the app Notability. You use Notability, Call a Note, whatever type of notes apps that you want to use in order to write down any type of notes or anything that you're going to be studying on, or to download presentations from your lecturers. I use Notability. You're able to record what the lecturer is saying. That literally helped me survive chemistry, bro. If you know me, I hate math. Chemistry is math and science, basically, and it helped me survive my first semester with chemistry. But you're able to record what the lecturer is saying, and you're also able to take notes. So you're able to click on what you wrote during, and then it'll take you to what the lecturer said while you were writing down that note. It's literally life-changing. So I 100% recommend downloading Notability and having that be your note-taker app. And then with the digital study, besides being aesthetically pleasing and having the advantage of apps, like I said, you're able to download the presentations and then write on the presentations while the lecturer is speaking. And that brings me to my first study technique, which is what I do before, during, and after lecture. And usually what my professors do before class is that they upload the presentations on what we're going to be learning in class. So when they upload the presentations, I immediately put it into Notability, and the first thing I do is I quickly skim through the presentations if it's not too long, but I quickly skim through the presentations to just get an overall view of what we're going to be learning in the next class and prepare questions that I might have. You don't have to do that, but that's what I do. But definitely download Notability and then download the presentations into Notability. So that's what I do pre-class. During class, while the professor is lecturing, I write down important notes or anything I feel like is important or a process that I need to study. I write it down on the presentation, on the slides while she's going through them. Always do that. I use active recall and Anki flashcards, and I will get into that next. I'm sure you guys heard of Anki flashcards. I know for damn sure you've heard of Quizlet. Anki flashcards is basically Quizlet but on crack, and I'll get into that in a second. But active recall is making sure that you're actively studying instead of passively studying. If you were just to click through flashcards, that might help you memorize a little bit, but if you're actively questioning on the topic of what you're trying to learn and making sure that you're able to recall it through memory and pull it back up, that's actively studying it. So I use active recall heavily. And the best way to use active recall is through the app Anki. But basically with active recall and Anki flashcards, the flashcards are created in decks of the Littner method. The Littner method is 5 different sections of which you'll be studying. So you have section 1, which is study every day, section 2, which is study every other day, section 3, which is study once a week, section 4, which is once bi-weekly, and then section 5, which is retired, which means you already know that information, so there's really no point in you going over it as frequently. You can just easily go over it before you take the exam, a few days before you take the exam, and be perfectly fine. So what you do is when you do Anki flashcards, it basically organizes, it gives you the flashcards of which you created or which you imported from somewhere else. It gives you your topic of flashcards. You go through them, and whatever you're having a hard time learning, it puts them in those sections. It puts all the flashcards in those sections of what you've mastered, what you need more help with, and so on and so forth. So that's what Anki flashcards basically does for you. So by the time you're done with your entire flashcard deck, you would have mastered that subject. So using Anki flashcards, which is active recall and the Littner method, is what helps me the most. I cannot stress that enough. Anki flashcards, active recall, Littner method. It's spaced memorization. So it's not, oh, you just freshly went over all this, so it's fresh on your mind, so you memorize it. You're constantly testing yourself on that subject, therefore it's going to be stuck in your mind and that you remember it for sure. So that's what I do. So, that is my lecture routine, what I do before, during, and after the lecture, and that's when I'm really trying to understand a process or a subject. I use the Anki flashcards, active recall, and the spaced memorization / Littner method techniques. That's what I use. It's very simple. Just download the app Anki, and I can make make a video on Anki flashcards in more depth if you guys want. Now, my daily routine is like, I might not have a class, I might just be cooling. What I do for my daily routine when I'm not actively doing things like that after a lecture or whatever, but what I do for my daily routine is I'm always summarizing after every class. I'm reteaching myself subjects, and I'm explaining myself the processes throughout the semester. So then when the quizzes or exams come up, I already know them. So I do that daily. So basically what I'm doing is that, before my lectures, I'm downloading the presentations, I'm reading through them, getting my questions prepared, going to class, listening to the lecturer, writing down the important things that are not on the slides. Then when I get back, I'm doing the Anki flashcards, the space memorization, and Littner method. I do that whenever I can. And then daily, when I'm not actively doing that whole thing, when I'm not actively doing that whole routine, what I daily do is I summarize after every class. I'm actively reteaching myself. I'm discussing and explaining processes to myself. And then this is where the whiteboard comes in, using a whiteboard. Using a whiteboard is the next best thing to having an iPad. With the iPad, you can use the Notes app itself to write down something and erase it if you want to, but with a whiteboard, it's obviously just easier. If there's an important process like mitosis or anything like that, drawing it out will help you memorize it. And then once again, if you want to, for my daily routine, when I'm actively teaching myself something and wanting to explain it, I write down what I'm explaining to myself, or erase it and write it back over from memory. I try to do that as much as possible. So using a whiteboard is definitely very important in my study routine as well. So this is basically how I survived my first semester of nursing school. I'm still on prereqs. I haven't actually started taking my in-depth nursing classes. I start taking them next semester. I'm taking therapeutic communications, pathoform, and fundamentals of nursing. But right now, I mainly use these techniques for my chemistry class, my anatomy and physiology class, and my essentials of nursing class, since they're more complex and I have more to study on. But I will fully be engaging into my nursing curriculum next semester. Therefore, I'll have way more information and experience to share with you guys. But those are the methods that work for me, and those are what I have been using throughout my semesters. There's a whole bunch. There is thousands of study techniques. So if it doesn't work for you, don't flip. There's thousands of study techniques. There's the Cornell method. There's Bloom's taxonomy. There's so many different types of study techniques and study methods for you guys to use if they don't work for you. So never freak out. Always just find what's the best study technique for you and the best memorization method for you, and you will excel. I promise you that. Always put your health first. That's another thing I forgot to mention. That's definitely my routines of how I study and memorize. But the most important thing before everything is putting your health first. Your health in general, your physical health, your mental health, your social, all of it. Putting your wellness first before everything. Having activities and hobbies outside of your academic curriculum is extremely important in order to keep on excelling. You can't just keep on putting that pressure on yourself. You're not eating, you're not sleeping right, you're not doing anything for your health and then expecting to just get straight A's. No, you always have to put your health first. So making sure that you get the right amount of sleep, never cramming before an exam, having activities and hobbies outside of academia. I don't know if you guys know this already, but I just started a cosmetology club here at my school. So I'm the president of the cosmetology club, and we'll be doing like nails and hair and lash classes, and I want to get dermatologists and cosmetic nurses to come in and speak to us and give us live demonstrations of fillers. It's going to be so fun. But having activities outside of academia and just taking care of your wellness and overall self-care is the most important thing before you even start studying. Always do that for yourself and create a certain routine for yourself every day. I'm pretty sure this is at every college, but you're able to create your own schedule. So try, if it's possible, try to get a day off. I'm not sure, you might have a hectic schedule. You might not have taken as many credits last semester, but if you can, try to get a day to yourself. I currently have Tuesdays and Fridays to myself. So I use those days to just rest. I watch anime, I make content like my TikToks, I post on my accounts, I just relax, I just have at least one day to yourself where you can just fully relax, but always make sure that you're still studying daily, but still have a day to yourself where you can just fully relax and not have to worry about anything. Studying is important. Try to use my daily routine, but still always put your wellness and your health first. Yes, so that's about it. That's how I study in nursing school. That's how I've gotten all these A's and all these good grades, and that's how I will continue to get all these A's and good grades. As I continue through my nursing program, I will answer any questions that you guys ask. I'm nursing pre-med and a minor in biology, so I will definitely be trying out all the study techniques and memorization techniques that I can and making sure that I'm prioritizing my health. So I'll always have these types of videos on my channel, and I will be more active, but if there's any more nursing related videos that you guys want, let me know in the comment section. I will be producing that content. And next semester, I finally get into clinicals and assimilation labs, so these videos are gonna be a lot more interesting. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.